With the news coming out of Joe Milton transferring, I wanted to take some time to talk about why the transfer of former Michigan starter Joe Milton and former Oregon quarterback Tyler Shough, who we haven't gotten to talk about, why their departures are bad news with some good implications in it. So you don't want to miss this. Before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Do you believe that Joe Milton and Tyler Shough are transferring because the incoming guys are that real? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no, and let me know why down in the comments. Guys, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, that way you don't miss any of my uploads, as I do constant college football content, whether that's player reviews, film analysis, or talk style videos like this. And I'm on my push to 5,000 subscribers in my first year of having my channel, and I'd love for you to be along for the journey. If you enjoy the video, drop a like and comment down below, because that stuff really does go a long way in helping content creators like myself get picked up by the YouTube algorithm, and I really can't tell y'all how much all the support has meant. But with all that being said, let's jump straight into this, because we have a lot to unpack here. And I want to start with Michigan, because that is the new news, and then we'll move on to the Tyler Shough situation at Oregon. And at Michigan, it's kind of interesting because there was a lot of talk that maybe Harbaugh had finally found a guy that he could really work with in Joe Milton. Joe Milton has prototypical size, 6'5", 240, big arm, and he had flashes of some really good football last year. Specifically his last 3 games. His last 3 games were his best 3 games, posting a rating of 155.3, 112.2, and 169.9. And look, if we're talking QBR, that translates to 69.9, 64.2, and then a 91.7 in his last game. So you can see that the last stretch of Michigan's season, he was at his most productive. Now, we are still talking about a quarterback that threw for less than 2,000 yards last year. However, Michigan didn't have a very complete season. Nobody did, so it's really hard to gauge new quarterbacks in a COVID year, specifically when you don't have a normal practice schedule, you don't have a normal offseason, and you didn't even have continuity going week to week, and you had to have games rescheduled, which messes up the flow. That's very difficult for a new quarterback in a system. And Joe Milton, you had to at least be encouraged by the progression from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. But it has been announced today that he is transferring. And look, he is going to be a big target in the quarterback market and the transfer portal. Look, a team like Florida, who just lost Kyle Trask, and even though you have Emory Jones has always proved to be a dangerous threat running the football. He picks his times to run really well, and he's really good at it. But Emory Jones has yet to prove that he can be as deadly passing the football. Could Dan Mullen roll the dice on a guy like Joe Milton, who's 6'5", 240 pounds, and has some starting experience? And like I said, his best football was played in the back stretch. And like I always say for OU fans, if you're watching this, you will have heard me say this multiple times for your Sooners. If you're going to be on a team that isn't in contention for the end goal, in OU's case, it was the national championship. In Michigan's case, it's God knows what. If you're on a team that isn't in contention for that, the only thing you can do from week 1 till the end of the season is work on improving something every single week. That's why I'm so high on Oklahoma going into next season. Not only are they incredibly talented, I knew they were talented. Not only has the defense progressed, which is a big one, but the team as a whole started playing a better football as the year went on, and they're a talented group. That makes me high on them. So Milton is going to be a guy to watch for in the transfer market because, like I said, he kind of has that same positive going for him where his best football is on the back stretch. And in a year, especially in a COVID year, that's really the only thing that you can ask is that you get better and improve week after week. So he's going to be a big time pickup for someone in the transfer market. 6'5", 240 pounds, has the tools. A team like Florida could come in and grab him and feel really good about their chances picking up a DeMarcus Bowman and an Arik Gilbert and already keeping a pretty decently loaded receiving core. But in coming to Michigan, and the reason why it's not that big of a deal, and the reason why this has good implications, is because you have former 5-star quarterback J.J. McCarthy coming in. I say former. He was just a 5-star quarterback, rated as the number 2 pro-style quarterback in the class of 2021. And this kid has been touted as electric. Anytime you see him in his play, he's making great reads, and he has got a huge arm. And it's not like he's a small guy either. We're still talking about a kid who's standing at 6'3", coming right out of high school. So you're replacing prototypical size with prototypical size. And even though size isn't the determining factor, it is nice to have a quarterback that is that large it just seems to translate easier. If you look at the NFL, more quarterbacks are closer to Aaron Rodgers' height than they are Kyler Murray's height. That might be changing, but that is the status quo. And a similar situation is happening at Oregon right now, where Tyler Shough, the starter from last year, decides to transfer out. And this is only bad in the sense that you're losing experience, but you have to be excited for what that means on the back end, because the implication of a starting quarterback transferring out, a guy who had all that rep, is that the new guy is that real. In Michigan's case, J.J. McCarthy is an early enrollee, and he's probably already shown flashes of, yeah, this is going to be our guy, because I don't see anybody else on Michigan's depth chart that is going to push for Joe Milton's job if it's not J.J. McCarthy, unless there's someone in the back burners that has just massively improved that I'm not aware of, and that's possible, and if they have, good for them. The implication here is that J.J. McCarthy is the starter for Michigan, and likewise for Oregon. With Tyler Shough leaving, any Oregon fans or anybody who's watching this video who's not an Oregon fan that has been frequent to my channel knows I have been huge on Ty Thomsphon since August. He's been a guy I've been talking about since before a season even happened, and when he goes to Oregon, all of a sudden the starting quarterback is leaving. Ty Thomson's a guy who could come in there and absolutely help this Oregon offense. Now, here's the real question. Do I think this changes the outlook for either team? Well, in the Big Ten video I made, I said that it was Ohio State's conference and everybody else was just living in it, that it was going to be a matter of who can compete with Ohio State. While the Big Ten absolutely has a ton of talent, Michigan is in an incredibly precarious spot. And even though I truly do believe that this bad news carries incredibly positive implications on the long haul, it's not going to be positive year one. And even if it is positive year one, it doesn't mean that it's enough to move the needle. And when I say it's not going to be positive year one, I don't mean that I don't think J.J. McCarthy isn't going to have a great season. Please let me clarify this. What I'm saying is it's not going to be positive enough to move the needle between the gap between y'all and Ohio State. That's not J.J. McCarthy's fault. That's not anybody's fault. That's just the reality of the situation of the nuclear arms race that's happening in college football right now amongst a few teams. And Oregon is in a similar situation. You don't want to lose your starting quarterback, but you have got to love the guy coming in behind him is already that touted that the guy who had the job locked up is like, nah, I'm out. That dude, I don't want to compete with him. That has to give you some sort of excitement. But we have got to keep up with Tyler Shough and Joe Milton, both guys who could be a big-name guy on someone's conquest next season. Watch out, because a team like Florida is loading up everywhere, but they have question marks at the quarterback position, and I really think that Joe Milton with Dan Mullen could be something interesting to watch. That's it. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments. What are you thinking about these transfers? And let's have a conversation about it. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, drop a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.